Welcome to the Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. I have a lot of respect for men and women who pursue their own natural talent. And I'm fortunate today to have this conversation with Sergio Michel. He's a hard rock and metal musician. At 4 years old, you knew that you wanted to play a guitar.
Yeah, I saw Eddie Van Halen and all the guys that were around that time at MTV, regardless of the genre. And I said, I know how to do that. I'm just 100% sure that that's not difficult. I could do it. So I got a guitar, and I just, with a group of friends, and everybody was like struggling to play chords. And I'm like, I'm not gonna play chords. This is where it's at. And I'm like, see that? So I was playing like very advanced guitar solos from ear without even knowing what the name of the notes were.
Wow.
Within the first week.
I believe that too.
You know? But I went back and learned the theory as years went on, and I improved. But from the get-go, I knew that I had something different because I just could do things came naturally to me that bewildered other people. They're like, what is that? I don't know. I just know how to do it. You know what it is? When God gives you a gift, He gives you the concept behind it too, for you to understand. So, somebody may not understand how we upholster this furniture, but for somebody who's been given the gift of it, it's natural. Yeah, this is a seam and this is an angle, and if I cut it like this and that, but to us who don't do this, we're like, wow, that's amazing. How do they get this, round? Just with anything, building cars, music,
it's
art.
Natural, that's right.
It's natural, yeah.
Is it true that before you play, you don't feel the need to rehearse?
Yeah, I forget all my songs, all my lyrics, everything until the day, like right before. I'm like, oh, that's what it says. And most of my playing is improvised anyway. So I stay within the scale, but what I do is off the cuff. So nothing's planned at all.
How do you define the type of musician you are?
See, there's something in music that a lot of the casual listeners don't know, is that when you hear somebody like Jimi Hendrix or Eddie Van Halen or even B.B. King, those are a broad spectrum of players.
Right.
But they have that it factor. That's called phrasing. So it has to do with the way they hold and bend and the timing. Everything in their arm and their fingers does that. And there's no way to teach that. It's natural. So there's people that learn a lot of scales and learn a lot of chords, and they have the best equipment in the world, and they're funded, and they go out there and they sound very average.
Right.
But you can get a guy with a $20 Sears guitar, and he just sounds like something from another planet because he has phrasing. So I have good phrasing. Interesting, different type of phrasing, and that's what people hear. They're like, wow, it kind of reminds me of Hendrix, it reminds me of Eddie, but it sounds different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get that all the time.
And are there musicians that you have respect for, you learn from, get ideas from?
Yeah, there are a whole lot from a big range,
Right.
but I filter it because obviously I am a Christ follower. I have returned to my Father. A Christ follower. A Christ
follower. You're a Christian.
Yeah.
And so, being a Christian, is it hard for you to perform certain songs and things like that?
No. My basic criteria is if it's satanic or bad or an affront to God, blasphemy.
Right.
No, don't do it. I refuse to do it.
Have you ever done anything like that before?
Oh, when I was like 18 and I didn't care. It was like, we used to want to offend everybody, 18, 19, 20 years old. When I was moving into the regional level, the first band I had, the first real one that was a big operation and they had studio time and everything, they had a local church. All the kids in their congregation listened to us. And it was all about like beating people up and blood and death. And so they literally had a bonfire where they burned our music and effigy, and that was pretty cool then. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I want to do that now.
Really?
Yeah.
And why not?
Because first of all, you have to honor God. You don't want to blaspheme against the Lord. That's number one. Number two, you got to remember that everything you do, somebody else may be looking, and I can't control how somebody takes something. But if you're definitely doing something demonic or something ungodly, that's encouraging others to kind of, I don't know, pollute their minds in a way.
Right.
But I see the world from, there's good and evil, and just because something's ugly, it doesn't mean it's evil. Like if we're talking about war exists. If we're talking about death exists. But there's a way to talk about these things without corrupting or perverting others.
And so were you personally into the satanic thing?
You know, the short answer is yes,
Right.
because at the time I didn't know it. I thought that, you know, coming especially from the Cuban perspective.
So you're Cuban.
Yeah, Cuban, Puerto
I
Rican.
couldn't tell if you're Mexican, black, or Cuban,
Who
or all of
knows?
the above.
Who knows? So my mother ethnically was Armenian and Spaniard. She was raised by a black guy who I found out wasn't her dad, like after she died. And then my father ethnically is Danish, Cuban, and Puerto Rican. So I'm all over the place.
So you grew up in Cuba?
No, I grew up here. I was born in Jersey.
Oh, I see.
In
You were born
Jersey.
where?
In New Jersey.
Oh, you were. So how did you overcome the satanic stuff?
You know, it's pretty funny. You know, even in a fallen state, you're able to say, well, there's something wrong here. You shouldn't be talking about these things. You shouldn't be dealing with these things or messing with spirits or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And eventually I let that go. And then years later, when I was redeemed, you know, I could look back now and say, wow, you know, I was really into it. But it was cultural, so everybody was doing it.
I know a lot of people who've done that.
Yeah. And you don't
So
even
when
know.
you were into it, did it help your career
No.
to do satanic music?
No.
Because the world, especially young people, they love satanic music.
Of course.
But so if you were into that, why didn't that help your career?
Well, no, we had a lot of fans.
Right.
We got ahead big time. But the thing is that there's a common misconception that the devil gives record deals. It's not true. The devil doesn't create. The devil's a destroyer, a liar, and a cheat, and a murderer. So a lot of people are suckered into the occult because, one, because of selfishness, because they just want to be famous or they want to be rich. So they're willing to accept the lie that, hey, if you come to some ritual at some rich old guy's house and have an orgy and butcher a pig and eat its flesh and ask the devil to help you, you're going to be rich and famous. It's not how
Did
things
you ever
happen.
do any of that?
No.
You did
God.
none of that?
Thank God.
Well, no wonder.
It was, yeah, right?
And now, a word from our sponsor.
I am so excited. I can't believe it. Finally, the Fall Estate merchandise is here. Look at this beautiful shirt. We have red, white, and black. Comfortable, I like the fit. Really nice t-shirts. And we have mugs. The Fall Estate mug. On the back it says, did you have fun? Did you have fun? A gift. Excellent gifts, both. This is a great way for you to help us. Can you imagine your friends seeing you with this at the office, at the park, in your home? You're gonna love it. Order them now. Go to thefallenstate.tv. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And how did you get into television acting?
Well, that's another thing I always knew I was going to do. Basically, I was living in New York, where I'm originally from, New Jersey, New York area. I applied with an agency. They took me on. I did, my first acting job was a music video, and it paid cash, so that was great.
Right.
And then I wound up doing a recurring role. Once I moved to Miami a few years later, I wound up having a recurring role on the, at the time, #1 most rated Spanish TV soap opera. So I basically played a, you know, a hitman and did a lot of stunts. I did stunt driving, things like that. And then, you know, jobs come here and there, but I leave it in God's hands, so I pray about it.
Right.
And I just wait. I don't try. I don't go out and, you know, do cattle calls or anything like that. I just wait around, and sure enough, my phone rings one day. Hey, you want to do this? Sure. Or,
So you're still into that, the television acting?
yeah, but
But mostly for Spanish television?
for American television.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
but
good.
my break came in Spanish TV. I
Right.
mean, that's pretty big
Yeah.
for an actor to do, you know, one music video, move to a whole new city, and wind up doing 4 or 5 episodes on a syndicated show. That's pretty big.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let me ask, how did you become a Christian?
Wow. So, you know, I thought a long time ago, I thought I was a Christian, but I was just really, really religious. So in 04, 05, I had recovered from a lot of traumatic experiences, right? And then I went to a retreat in Florida, thrown by, do you know the Vineyard, the emergent church kind of guys?
No.
Well, this guy was preaching about, he was a straight Christian preacher, like just straight Christian type of
Right.
preaching. And I had gone to Catholic church my whole life. And I'm like, this makes sense. This sounds like the truth because, yeah, God, you need to be saved. You need to be redeemed. And I felt that I've been going to church since I can remember, and nothing ever changed. So God allowed a lot of bad things to happen to me for me to be able to turn to him and ask for him to help me. And even though I thought I was saved and I wasn't, just being willing to turn changed my life a lot.
Oh, yeah. You spoke out against Barack Obama before the 2008 election. Is that true?
That's right.
And so where and when and why did you speak out against him?
So what happened was, over in New York City, there's a radio station, it's a Christian radio station on AM, and Jay Sekulo's on. You know, Jay Sekulo was screaming bloody murder, you know. This guy has a faulty birth certificate. This guy doesn't have a social security number. He was born in Kenya and he went to Indonesia as a Muslim. How can? And I'm like, wait a minute. This sounds way too out there. And I wasn't. I was just a liberal by default because, you know, you're brown and you live in the North and white people hate you, and you're just liberal by default.
Right.
So I said, let me look into this. So I just, a simple Google search says, yeah, this guy goes to a church led by a guy named Jeremiah Wright. What does he believe? Wow, he hates white people and he hates America and he wants us all dead. Yeah, birth certificate has 3 different fonts on it and it's bent. That's a graft. I know it because Cuban gangsters were around my house all the time. I know what a forged document looks like. The social, I researched that the first 3 numbers of the social dictate what state you were born in. He was born in Hawaii. Why is it a Connecticut? And I'm like, no, this guy's just, I can't vote for this guy.
And did your career suffer as a result of that?
Absolutely.
And in what way?
So a good example of how was on Facebook. I had about 33,000 fans, and it dwindled down to 10 overnight.
Really?
Yeah, because of this, I don't know if it was a Saudi sheikh or some guy from Saudi Arabia tweeted out that I and Ted Nugent are Israeli-loving rock stars, and you should not listen to them. And I'm like, this guy's nobody. It's no big deal. 20,000 fans the next day. A lot of stuff started happening. All of a sudden, contracts started failing. I would get a casting, and I'm right there, and all of a sudden they would tell me, sorry, Sergio, we can't use you. Yeah, we can't use you. We can't use you. So I started losing all these castings, and friends started disappearing. And it was all because I don't know how these people get this information around.
Right.
But once you come out against, you know, the establishment, they know. Somehow people know.
And so why would you do that knowing that it would destroy your career?
Because while I was turning to God, I'm just one of those people. I'm not willing to go along with the herd and to do something that I know is wrong.
Right.
I'm like, I can't do this. I don't have it in me.
But you would not have been going along with it by not speaking out about it. You would just, within yourself, you would disagree with what Obama was about, but not lose your livelihood over it.
Right. And that was an amateur mistake.
Yeah.
Today I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If I was the man I am today, I wouldn't do that. Because remember, I was without God, and I was traumatized, and it's almost like living like with a spiritual PTSD. You have no idea.
Yeah.
When you're in that fog, that spiritual fog, you have no idea what direction up and down is, and you're trying because there's a piece of you, God put His commandments on your heart. So sometimes you get right and wrong right.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, no, I can't do this. And you try and then you fail. And you try again and you fail. But when you got God, you try and you succeed.
Would you suggest to other entertainers that they not speak out about politics? They keep that to themselves?
Yeah. So there is no benefit for you beating the drum for or against Donald Trump, for or against Obama, for or against. People don't want to hear that. If you're a musician, they want to hear you play music. If you're an actor, they want to see you act.
I don't want to know who they vote for, if they're liberal or Democrat, Republican or whatever. Just entertain me, because it's not going to do me any good anyway knowing how you voted.
Right. It was a rookie mistake, and I would never do it again. Yeah. If somebody, challenges me or asks me, where do you lean? I'll tell them. But going out of I was proselytizing, Jesse. I was like, you can't vote for this guy. And everything that came out, and it's maybe a tranny. His wife thought it was a tranny.
That's crazy.
And the world basically imploded.
You were married before?
Never.
Did I read that? Never married, but you had a son.
Sadly, yes.
And so you had this son out of wedlock.
Yes.
Were you living with the woman?
Yes.
Oh, you were living but not married. You had this son. So what happened to your son at 6 years old?
So sadly, I got in front of the wrong family court judge, a very feminist judge who had a record of just mauling the fathers. And I had gotten my son, because of domestic violence against me, I got full legal and physical sole custody,
Really?
which never happens.
That's
That
right.
was a blessing and a half.
Yeah.
So I had him grow up for 6 years, and
So you were raising him from 6 months to 6 years by yourself?
by myself. I retired from music and acting. I just let everything go. I was miserable because it's what I'm made to do as a job.
Right.
And but I was raising a little boy.
Yeah.
He was a little Bible expert. Like I raised him like I'm like I know what's wrong. I'm gonna try to raise him right. And all I would do is bring Jesus music and Jesus movies, and so I try to raise him like some Midwestern kid in New Jersey, which was working for a while, until the mother and the system decided to take me to court for some hearing and visitation or something like that. Long story short, the judge was an Obama supporter, surrogate as well, and did not like the fact that I was raising the kid in a Christian household, and my son would get in trouble in school for preaching to Muslims. So there were little Muslims there, and he would preach to them. So he would always get in trouble, and I would encourage him, like, yeah, son, do it. And the teachers hated him. So the teachers hated my son, the courts hated me, and after 27, 28, 30 useless hearings, you know, I told the judge she was wrong, and this is borderline illegal. It's like you're changing. All the proof and evidence is on my side. I've done nothing wrong. Why do I keep being dragged to court for doing what no one else is willing to do?
Yeah.
She didn't like that, so she made a bogus order, and it was ambiguous enough to get the child away from me, but not to transfer custody. So he wound up with the mother. The mother left the state. Haven't seen him in 7 years.
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't seen him in 7 years?
Haven't seen him in 7 years.
You don't know where the mother went?
I know where she went, but then they find out the mother didn't have a place to live, and my son wound up in a homeless shelter when he was taken from me, and he was beat, and DIFUS in Jersey covered it up. The local bar refused to give me service because they were friends with the judge. The guardian ad litem, which was the guy that, you know, the attorney for the child,
Right.
was in bed with the judge.
Did they know that you had spoke out against Obama?
Yeah.
Oh, how did the judge find that out?
New Jersey is a small place.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, especially where I was.
And so now your son has been, you thinking that he's been taken away from his mother.
Probably taken away.
Why don't you get him back? Why don't they give him to you?
I made every attempt to do it, and it's been blocked supernaturally. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna leave it to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've traveled, I've backpacked across the country, I've petitioned this one and that one, and it's not a no, but it's almost like a not right now. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm leaving it to you. And the minute I did, that's when everything started returning to my life. So I'm like, okay, this is the right course.
So when you look back on that situation, is there something you could have done differently?
Yes. I think I was very strong-willed in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I didn't handle things correctly because I had many opportunities to end it. But because I was becoming a Christian, you know, like I said, religious, not really saved, I thought that by being merciful on my opponent, you know, the mother, the court, whatever, doing them favors, maybe we'll show them how nice I am. And they want to be a Christian too, and we could all get along. That's not what it is. The devil's going to kill you.
Were you hurt by it? By losing your son?
Back then, I think I was more angry than anything.
How old were you at the time?
25.
And so you're more angry. You were just angry at the courts, and not necessarily about losing your son per se.
You know,
It didn't bother you emotionally that you were losing your son.
it wasn't emotional, it was justice. So, I want to say this because this will help people a lot. I got angry at God. Then I started drinking, then I started partying. I'm like, well, if you don't want me to be a responsible dad, and you want me to be alone and you know, carry on, I'm just going to go back to being 18.
Yeah.
So I tried that, and God shut that down.
Why
He shut
did you
down.
marry the woman that you had the baby with?
I tried.
But you were living with her, right?
Yeah, but
Why do you guys get married?
I tried, but it always kept getting shut down.
What do you mean?
Like, just things would happen, and then she'd act up and flare up and get really violent. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. You know, I was stupid, but not that stupid when I was lost. So I was like, yeah. But it was wrong to begin with.
And so you blame God for it. You were mad at God, right?
For allowing that to happen.
Really? And so did you get over that with God?
Of course, absolutely. I had to, obviously you have to repent for that. which I did. And then you have to trust God to rebuild you, which I did. And it was painful because God will let you leave his house. You know, he'll be like, oh, you think you know better? All right, go, boom. And you're going to get beat up. When God takes that hedge of protection from you and says, you want to learn? Learn. I learned. And it took a long time of prayer. I had to prayer, repentance, just being and trusting God. And eventually everything just started getting better. And then I really was saved. I really felt the change. And you know, you feel that weight get off of you. And now I don't want to drink. I don't want to party. I have no thirst for sexual interaction whatsoever.
You have no thirst for it?
No.
You don't even desire it?
Don't even desire. Jesse, I've had girls walk into my
feeling doesn't come?
No.
Really?
I've had women drop.
Are you like dead on the inside?
Oh, hell no. They're still trying to hook up. I ain't even, look, I've had naked women, okay, walk into my dressing room, a musician. I look them right in the eye, I go, yeah, it's okay, cool, nice, you want to take a picture? Bye.
You hurt the naked woman?
Why not?
Oh.
I ain't trying to hook up with her. Her boobs ain't gonna give me cooties or something, you know, so I'm strong in my faith.
So what kind of person are you?
I would say,
What type of person are you?
I'm just a redeemed person, but if we were gonna like classify me, I'm kind of like those. You ever seen the movie We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson?
You been in the military?
No.
Oh, okay.
But there's a character in it, Sam Shepard. He played a sergeant major. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm kind of cut and dry. You know, people like try to get at me. I don't respond.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm funny. But like the face I show to you, like we're friends, we're funny. You're like, wow, this guy's really nice. But to the average person on the street, people look at me, I just have that resting tough face. They're like, man, that guy must be like the worst.
And why do you do that?
That's just who I am.
Yeah.
It's not intentional.
You, that's amazing, man.
What can I do? I'm a meaningless statistic. There could just be a way I could help the fallen state. I'm not crazy. That's never gonna happen. I'm not living in a dream world.
Well, what's the matter with you?
Jesse? Jesse Lee Peterson? You're my favorite YouTuber, and I wish there was a way for me as the viewer to support you.
You can help us, and you can too. Whatever amount you can afford, even $1, we appreciate it. Go to patreon.com/thefallenstate.
That's amazing.
So your career is coming back now,
Yeah.
and you're starting to move forward. What have you learned from that whole ordeal? Losing your son, going against Donald Trump in Obama in a public way. What have you learned from all that?
Context. So one of the principles that nobody likes to accept from the word from God is this: you got to count the cost of what you do. You have the right to protest, but if you stand in front of a cop whose assignment is to remove you, you're gonna get removed. You have the right to speak up against a corrupt public official, but that corrupt public official is gonna respond with corruption to you, and that's usually death or blackballing. You can be promiscuous, but you might get somebody pregnant, and that somebody might be the wrong person, and that person might be violent, and you might wind up in jail. So I think what I learned is that there's context and consequence. So you got to keep things in context and understand that for everything you do, there is a reaction.
You have another album coming out.
Yes, sir.
When is this?
This is February 2018.
Oh, yeah? And what's the title?
The title is Tropical Depression.
Oh, yeah? So do you write your own music and everything?
Yes.
And what is tropical depression? What do you mean by that?
It's a play on words. So tropical depression is a hurricane. And tropical depression is the story from what happened about 2004 to about 2014 in my life.
Oh, okay.
So all that weirdness.
So have you spoken out publicly in support of Donald Trump?
Yes.
You have, and why? Because I thought you learned a lesson from Obama. Why would you speak out?
Sadly, I'm just built like that. You know, but I learned But you know, here's what it was. As God was restoring me, there were still things that had to be let go on the way. So I volunteered the Secret Service at some Miami rally they were looking for 2 guys among the Trump volunteers. They're like, hey man, you're pretty strong, this guy's pretty strong. You know, the lady that was running the thing, you want to go guard the podium? I'm like, guard the podium? Sure. So me and this other guy, you know, who's been volunteering for the campaign for a long time, wound up guarding Trump before he became the president, like maybe a month before, like one of the last few rallies. Coolest thing ever. Woo! And I didn't learn my lesson. But after he got elected, and I started seeing how the right was acting and reacting to things, I started to say, and I was still getting a lot of flack. I mean, I've had people come after me on Twitter. People have tried to kill me in the street. Like literally people have tried to assault me because they know how I vote or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think this is worth it. I think I'll just show up to vote. And it's not fear. It's just that I have stuff to do. I don't have time to stand on a street corner and yell at total strangers.
So what I'm not getting is, so if you learned all that from the Obama back in 2008, you saw what happened to your career, right?
Right.
Why would you even go to a rally or bother with the Trump situation at all?
Right, but I was coming out of that, and once that happened, I learned my lesson. I wouldn't do it now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this is recent. I think God, let's put it this way. If I was a pie, I was taken out of the oven about a year ago.
Oh, okay.
So we're good now. But yeah, it was a process for me to return to my father. It was very far.
So, so do you blend in with black people? Because
No.
you look black, but you sound
Like a white guy?
like a Cuban or something like that.
Like a Cuban?
Yeah.
The first
you
time I
sound
heard
like
that.
a Mexican or something.
Like a Mexican? Orale!
Yeah.
So
do you blend in with black people?
no.
You do not.
No, black people do not like me very much.
They do not.
Just my very existence offends black people.
And why not?
I don't know.
But how do you know they don't like you?
Because they try to hit me.
They try to hit you?
Yeah, but well, more the Black Lives Matter people. I've literally been walking down the street minding my own business, and somebody's tried to come out, you know, and it's because of they've seen me on the internet or they've seen me talking about, you know, conservative politics or about Christianity. It's not like I insulted them, but they're just so bent out of shape. And I think too that
Do you like that kind of stuff when it happens to you?
when it happens, I have no opinion of it. I mean, how can you hate somebody based on a picture or a tweet? That makes no sense to me. So I'm more entertained by it than anything.
Are you perfect?
No,
You're not.
Absolutely not.
Do you sin?
absolutely
You sin.
no.
Do you?
See, we need a conflict.
Do you?
I am redeemed.
Do you sin?
Do I sin? Yes.
You do sin.
Yes.
And so if you're redeemed, how do you sin?
Because I'm not perfect.
And so how you redeem if you're not perfect?
Because
What
God
does
is
that
perfect.
mean to be redeemed?
To be redeemed is that you're restored to your Father, and you are returned to your original state. Doesn't mean I'm not going to make a mistake.
So so redeem means to return to your Father, to your original state.
Yeah.
And yet you sin.
Yeah, people could sin.
And what kind of sins do you commit?
Uh,
Did you sin today?
Not that I could think of. I'm just trying to be all safe for the Christian listener.
So what type of sins do you commit?
Let's see. You know what? I may have to amend my answer because I can't think of one right now.
You can't think of a sin that you committed?
Right now. Yeah.
And so
Today.
how do you know you sin then?
Because I probably am just rehashing whatever programming is still there
Meaning what?
of religious talk.
But when you say you're not perfect, what did you mean by that?
Well, I'm a man who's going to die. I don't think that's perfect. We
No.
weren't meant to be dead.
We
You know,
were
perfect
not.
body is incorruptible, what
Right.
God's promised to give us. I think that as far as salvation, we're complete. Well, that's it. Once you return to your Father in Christ, you're good. But I think I'm still a flawed man. I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to do everything correctly all the time.
And so it's possible to be a son of God and not be perfect?
See the context. For being human is an imperfect state because we're not what we were meant to be. You know, Adam wasn't intended to die. He wasn't designed. God didn't make him, one day you're just going to drop. So maybe I'm overthinking it. That's what I think it is. I think I'm overthinking it. But I really can't explain it.
And so you're not perfect.
I'm not perfect.
Are you holy?
Yes.
You are holy,
Yes.
but not perfect.
See, that's a play on words now. Because
What does
holy
that
is
mean?
perfect. Holy is perfect.
And so which are you?
I'm holy because he made me holy,
But not perfect.
but not perfect. Because I'm not perfect in this. This isn't my final, this isn't my true form.
Amazing. So how can people find out when you're playing and, you know, get involved and get your new album when it comes out?
Okay, so you want to go to sergiomichel.com. That's SERGIOMICHEL.com. And then Facebook and Instagram is Sergio Michel Music, SERGIOMICHEL Music. And Twitter is S Michel Music.
Okay, and you have some events coming up soon, right?
Yeah, November 16th at the Whiskey A Go Go headliner, November 27th at the Rainbow headliner, and then December 21st, special guest from Monty Pittman, which is Madonna's guitar player, and December 30th, downtown Los Angeles at the 5-Star Bar. And April 22nd of next year, there's going to be a big festival on Sunset Strip with the Lynch Mob. So,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, filling up the calendar.
And so you're on your way back to success prior to this political stuff you got into.
Right.
And you're going to stay away from that now.
Yeah, I'm just going to go vote now. And if anyone wants me to consult them, they got to play buku bucks, like Jesse says.
That's right.
Buku
Well, I
bucks.
appreciate you coming on. Did you have fun?
I had fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming, man.
Thank you, sir.
And I wish you well in your music and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show.